is up, Bat family and all my fellow Kryptonians? Welcome to World's Finest, brought to you by the Comic Collectors Guild. I am your host. You guys know me as Jake, a.k.a. the Superman, and joining me, as always, the co-host and anchor of this show, Lee Lawson, a.k.a. the Batman. Lee, how are you, sir?
What's up, Jake? And I'm nothing without you, man. Nothing without you.
Hey, World's Finest is a two-man show. Well, we are talking about the biggest, baddest dudes and females in all of comics. Lee, what are we breaking down on this epic countdown today?
Ooh, boy, this is one of the toughest ones I had to do, Jake. It really was. But we are breaking down the top 10 villains across both DC and Marvel. These are the toughest guys that have caused havoc for our heroes that we know and love. And yeah, they're just bringing havoc every day in their heroes' lives. And we thought it'd be best to kind of give them their moment to shine today.
Yes, when you talk about the heroes, it's time for the baddies to get some love.
Exactly.
Going into this, what was kind of your criteria and how you ranked these guys, and how difficult was it to compile your list?
Oh, man, for me, it's like I was looking at something. I was picking these heroes as, is this just something that one lone hero could do? Or is it going to take the combined might, if not just the DC heroes, but maybe the combined might of both Marvel and DC's heroes? You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I put my list together.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there are some that you'll kind of come in here and be like, Lee, I think all these guys take that one guy out, maybe not. But it also, that was one way I kind of put it together. But I also was like just somebody who's really done, who is more of a personal vendetta against a hero, but who really wrecked their lives, you know, not just once, not just twice, but in multiple ways, hero life and personal life.
Yep. No, same for me. It was like a combination of the biggest, baddest dude on the block, accompanied with the damage they've done throughout their respective stories, and also some of my favorite storylines, like who were the big impactor in those stories. So it all came together. This was one of the hardest lists I've ever put together. Mm-hmm. So there's so many we could talk about. Let's start with some honorable mentions. Let's give it like 3 characters that almost made your list, but not quite. Who do you have for your honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions, I have 1 from DC and actually 2 from Marvel. So I have Deathstroke. We've talked about him a lot. You know, he started off as a foe for the Titans, but he's really kind of grown throughout the years and become a villain against really any major hero out there. And I always look forward to that one storyline, Identity Crisis, where he took out the whole Justice League, without, of course, the main 3 bad guys or good guys, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman there, but it was every other member of the Justice League that you can think of, and he took them out with the quickness. That was a snap in case you guys didn't hear it. But with the quickness. So that's why he earned a place in the honorable mention list for me. I also have, that's my DC guy. In Marvel, I have Apocalypse. He's been a huge thorn in the side for the mutants, you know, or forever. You know, he's been responsible for so many tragedies throughout history, and again been a big thorn in the sides of the X-Men, and gone outside of the X-Men world, actually. It's taken the combined might of most of the Marvel heroes to beat him in some storylines. And then I also have somebody here, Magneto. Another big thorn in the side of the X-Men. You guys know about him. He's been there. He's, you know, been right there with them since Charles Xavier, basically. A long storied history with them, and again outside of the X-Men as well. So those are my 3 honorable mentions, Jake. I can't wait to hear who you have on your list.
Man, those are good ones. So I kind of have 1 DC, 1 Marvel, and then 1 X-Men as well. I'll start with the DC. For me, I have Bane at my honorable mention. He broke the bat. You know, we've talked about it many times before. He's an incredible foe, both with his physical strength, but also with his intellect. He's a very good strategic artist, and he beat Batman. So that alone puts you there. I know it's not a team effort, but he's one of the very, 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 very few people that broke the bat. So he earns my list there. Going to X-Men route, I went with Sabretooth, my personal favorite of the X-Men villains, by the way. But his relationship, kind of the same as Bane. Not as much on a team effort, although he is a very formidable foe to the group of the X-Men as well. But to me, Wolverine, Sabretooth, that dynamic of them together, you know, whether it's them being related and brothers, or just, kind of similar backgrounds to their DNA. And seeing those two go at it, I've always been a big Sabretooth fan, going back to the X-Men animated series. And then the Green Goblin for the Marvel. I think arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Marvel story ever told is, the night that Gwen Stacy died, all at the hands of the Green Goblin. Obviously Spider-Man has so many incredible villains, but to me, I think his biggest foe that he's faced time and time again tends to be the Green Goblin. I like his, relationship with Norman Osborn. His best friend is Harry, so there's like that dynamic to it. We've seen a lot of damage from the Green Goblin. He's not someone you can mess with. He's a bad dude. So Green Goblin, Sabretooth, and Bane are my three.
Awesome choices. Very
it is
fierce
sad.
opposed.
All six of those guys are just like super heavyweights. So
I know.
So those are just honorable mentions. So I can't wait to hear who you have on your top 10. Let's start at that number 10 spot. Who is that number 10 for you?
My number 10 is somebody who maybe 5 or 6 years ago probably wouldn't have even registered on this list, even in the honorable mentions. I'm talking about Reverse Flash. He has come in. His profile has been raised quite extensively here in the past few years due to Flashpoint. I mean, he already, again, this is somebody who really changed his nemesis. Flash is his nemesis. He changed his life in a pretty significant way. He killed Iris Allen at one point. So he's always been a huge thorn in his side. But then with the story of Flashpoint, he became more of not just really Flash's foe, but really a foe of the whole entire DC universe. I mean, he really single-handedly, whether he meant to or not, created this whole new 52. Well, outside before that, he had ruined the DC universe, basically.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, of course, what stemmed from that was the new 52. But that one thing that he did in the history, by changing and stopping Flash's
mother from dying.
Stopping him from dying, just changed history immensely, and for the worse.
Right.
It was terrible in all the heroes' lives, and so that's why Reverse Flash has made my list, because of the really storylines that he's been involved with him for the past 7-8 years.
Right. Yeah, and that's a guy can take out anybody in the Justice League, barring probably Superman, just because of he has all the powers of the Flash. But mentally, he is ready. He doesn't care. Like, as long as he beats Barry and just torments that poor guy, he would do whatever it takes. And to impact how important Flashpoint is, we've seen years. I don't know exactly what year that came out, but I mean, that storyline is still being impacted within Rebirth, The Blood and Doomsday Clock. We're still talking about Flashpoint. So very, very good choice there.
All right, man. Thank you. I was a little nervous about that one. I didn't know how you're going to feel.
No, definitely worth it.
What do you got going on for yours over there?
I have Sinestro. He's a big bad. I like the element. He is obviously extremely powerful, has all the powers that Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, or John Stewart, or any of those guys do. But he was a good guy that went bad. Obviously, even as a Green Lantern, he was definitely on that fence of, this isn't really the best of guys in the world. But all in all, he was a hero at one point. And to see him kind of fall and go into the darkness and create the Yellow Lantern Corps, I mean, and just that, he's the leader of an entire corps. It ain't just him. Like, there's an entire Yellow Lantern group. They wreak havoc all across dimensions and space. That entire sector that the Green Lanterns cover are just being wrecked by the Yellow Lantern Corps. He's the head of that. And again, power-wise, he'd go toe-to-toe with pretty much anybody in the Justice League and be able to hold his own. And he's just a very interesting character because it's set in that world, and I really like Sinestro. So he is my number 10, and I'm hoping we see a lot more of him going forward.
Awesome, dude. I definitely like the purple guy. He's, he's great. I can't wait to see him actually done well in live action as well.
Absolutely.
He's screaming out for it.
Absolutely, yeah. Number 9, who do you got?
Number 9 for me is somebody you already mentioned, the Green Goblin. I actually chose him because, as you mentioned, he's been one of Spider-Man's greatest foes. He killed Peter Parker's true love, Gwen Stacy. So that's how he affected Spider-Man's life. But then after he was born as Spider-Man's nemesis. But then throughout the years, again, he has been somebody who Norman Osborn, has gone on to become a foe pretty much to the whole Marvel universe.
Yeah.
With his rise in the ranks, I think he was actually Ransom was over Shield at
Yeah,
one point,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. And just he's become like the face of the enemy in so many different ways within the Marvel universe. Again, not just Spider-Man, but to all of the heroes there.
yeah.
So again, with just the background that he had when he was just really facing off against Spider-Man, and then all of the other things that I mentioned is why I think he's earned his rightful place here in the top 10 list of villains.
He was the closest guy to being in my top 10. As much as like Venom's my favorite character within the Spider-Man universe, but Green Goblin, to me, like I touched on, he's definitely the most prominent as far as what he's done and the impact he's had within Spider-Man's life. And he was like, if there was a number 11, like he was that guy. He was actually in my top 10 at one point. I had to do a couple finagles to fit some other guys in, but fantastic choice. I love Green Goblin at that number 9 spot.
All right, dude. You got going for,
my number 9 is about the only person that has taken the biggest heavyweight of them all out, and that is Doomsday. He is my number 9. He was a lot higher at first. The reason he's not as high as some of these other characters is, I mean, he lives up to his name. He's Doomsday. He's a wrecking ball. All he does is fight to the death and just take everything out. But there's not really too much backstory to him. There's no dialogue really. There's no
method
it's
to his
pretty
madness.
much just hey, head down, straight to the point, and that's it. So just the interest level of him, other than just his power and being able to wreck everybody, on an interest level, dropped him down on my personal list. But as far as power wise, this dude is top 5. I mean, he killed Superman. Enough said. I mean, this dude has single-handedly taken out the Justice League. He can go toe-to-toe with anybody. He can go toe-to-toe with all of them together. And he's been a part of some of the greatest storylines that DC has put out. So he's a newer character, in the grand scheme of things. He hasn't been around that long, but man, when he came on the scene, man, oh man, did he come on the scene. Like he came
definitely
out
did.
And changed the comic world forever. So Doomsday was my number 9.
Awesome choice. I mean, he made headlines, as you said, back in 1992, end of 92, 93, whenever it was. I mean, he killed Superman, and no one had ever done that before, obviously, or made him bleed even, really. I mean, this guy came in, like you said, like a wrecking ball, and he was huge. Hey, one word for you. Paradooms.
Yep, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's the
if you guys
man.
have seen. Yep, there you go. You'll get that reference if you guys watch Justice League Dark Apocalypse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's move on to number 8. Who do you have at the number 8 spot?
The reason the Avengers were born. I have Loki. He's a god. He is the flip side of Thor, the god of mischief. It took the combined might of the Marvel heroes to take him down, and that's happened more than once. But it's the real reason these guys actually came together that informed the Avengers was because of one of Loki's plans. You know what I mean? And Thor couldn't take him out on his own, so he needed a group, and the Avengers were born. Of course, we've seen him leap into live action too, and Tom Hiddleston does a fantastic job with him. But he's not just he's obviously God, so he's got the strength and the cunning, you know what I mean, and he's just pretty diabolical, and all those reasons is why he's made my number 8 list. I mean, he's a great foe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just really is.
He really is. No, it's a great choice. Great choice. Yeah, and I like that he plays both sides of the coins too, because he'll help you one second and he'll freaking turn his back on you the next. And you just don't know.
He's always out for Loki.
Yeah, I mean, in the Norse mythology of him, coming from the god and the frost giants, and we've even seen him in God of War, so that was kind of cool. So there's just so many different iterations and versions of him, and like you said, he brought the Avengers together. So great choice at number 8.
Thanks, dude. Thank you, my friend. Who do you have for your number 8?
Since you got someone who's been on the big screen, I have a guy who is coming on the scene and he's going to come in hard, and that is Black Adam. He is my number 8. He's a badass dude. Like, this guy can definitely take out anybody in the Justice League. We all know Superman's weakness is magic, and one of the few weaknesses is he can pretty much fight Superman and Shazam together. Actually, he's done it, and he's almost won too. This guy is Wrecking Ball. He was really the original Shazam, another guy who was a hero at first for whatever reason or another. In his case, his greed and wanting of power and to rule turned him to a darker side, becoming a villain. Black Adam, he's ruthless. He can go toe-to-toe with anybody, and I cannot wait to see Dwayne Johnson play him on the big screen. I think he's going to do him all the justice in the world, and I can't wait to see the havoc that they have him wreck, because if you have Dwayne Johnson in the suit, he's going to be kicking some tail. So Black Adam is my number 8.
Dude, I think that's another character who has, I would say probably in the past decade, whose prominence has risen. Has rose prominence here over the past few years. I mean, he's been in the mainstay in the Justice Society. I think he was actually a hero for them for a while.
Yeah.
To your point, I mean, he is just an all-around villain, a badass villain, and he can go toe-to-toe with Superman. And I would love nothing more for them to actually
adapt that.
Bring that storyline in, or I'd be more than happy if that's the next time we see Superman with Henry Cavill playing him, being in that live-action film with Dwayne Johnson. I think that would be freaking awesome, dude. So no, Black Adam's a fantastic choice, dude. Awesome.
Yeah, the last thing on that is, I hate saying this, but he's just cool, man. Like, he's cool. Yeah. He's a cool villain. He really is. But let's move on to number 7. Who is on that list for you?
Number 7 for me is Brainiac. He's been one of Superman's most feared foes, and he makes the list because it usually takes more than Superman to actually take this guy down. More recently, they've shown him in the Injustice 2 game, to where it's basically taking the combined might of all of the heroes, and even then, they can barely do it, or do they even do it? I'll leave that as a cliffhanger for you guys. But he's a collector of worlds. He's got that 12th level intellect. He's got the penchant for shrinking down planets and holding them in the name of preservation, quote unquote. Obviously, his genius is 12th level intellect, as I said, but that isn't his only strength. He can perfectly also mimic the powers of Kryptonians. So not only is he, got that extremely intelligent, but then he's got the strength of Superman, or any Kryptonian out there. So he is somebody that just takes the whole combined might of villains or heroes to be able to destroy. It's just awesome power.
Nope, great choice. If you want to know how powerful he is, just ask Supergirl. She'll be the first to tell you that this dude will wreck your entire world, or just shrink it down and preserve it. So however he wants to do it, fantastic choice. Brainiac is definitely an awesome Superman villain.
All right, dude. Thank you. And your lucky number 7?
I'm going to keep it with Superman. This guy should be higher as far as what he's done, but I have Lex Luthor, number 7. The reason he's not higher is just because, the grand scheme of things, he is just a guy. We've seen him in mech suits and he can do some damage, but at the end of the day, he's a guy. Superman has shown many times if he really, really wanted to, or even Batman for that matter, they could just take him out. But this guy has been a thorn in these guys' sides for decades and decades and decades. Mentally, besides maybe Batman, he's got the brains parallel to nobody. He's one of the smartest people in any universe. He's incredibly wealthy. I actually have liked the way they've used him recently, kind of as with an honorary Justice League member, where in some of these, the fate of the world is at stake. He's kind of come in and used his intellect to kind of save the day. And even though it's kind of for his own self-interest, but at the end of the day, it shows sometimes they've needed Lex to really be the one who comes in and saves it. But as a villain, I mean, this guy's put Superman through the ringer. And just because of the length of time he's been a thorn in their side and all the storylines he's been a part of, Lex has to be on the list. So he's my number 7.
Now, you can't make a top-telling villain list without having Lex Luthor on there, man.
Nope.
Not at all. And I also agree with you. I've been a fan of the different personas that they've shown throughout, whether it be the millionaire or just mech suit bad guy or the scientist or whatever it might be. So all around a great choice.
Thank you, sir. Let's move on to the final spot in this first 5, and that is number 6. Who has that spot for you?
For me, it is Ultron. He's created by Hank Pym. He's menaced the Avengers time and time again, and he's never truly vanquished. You know what I mean? He just never is. I mean, they actually go, the heroes, and I guess they look at them as an AI. So heroes don't usually take out people to be able to destroy them and never be hurt. But that's what their goal is always with Ultron, because there's never any way to really get rid of him, and they always fail. Honestly, I mean, they think they've succeeded, but they always fail because he's always coming back. I mean, I think he's really even become. If I had to name a main nemesis of the Avengers, I would probably say Ultron. To me, I think he is their main thing, and he's got the familial attachment there because he views Hank Pym, one of the founding Avengers, as his father. As his pops. So he's always got that vendetta against him, that father-son relationship.
Yep.
But that I think that he's just one of the most diabolical bad guys that Marvel has to offer, and so that's why he's made my number 6.
No, he's a great choice. He's really, I mean, pretty much the most unbeatable, because you really can't, unless you shut all technology off on Earth, which is pretty much impossible, and without really, like you said, you can beat him as bad as you possibly can, but he's going to come back at some point because you just can't beat him. So I think fantastic choice, dude. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
Fantastic choice.
Okay.
For my number 6, I am bringing up a character that you mentioned before. That is Magneto. He's been the thorn, in the X-Men, kind of the yin and yang with Charles Xavier through all these years. And to me, his backstory is fantastic. Obviously, as times are going on, it's becoming a little more older, but, he's a Holocaust survivor. So obviously he's got a lot of internal pain going through that ordeal. He's exceptionally powerful. The whole cliche I've heard, you said it a million times, the villains are heroes in their own story. And he believes what he does is right. And a lot of times in some stories, he has been right, actually. His points have actually been valid. And, all he cares about is the survival of mutants, even more so than Charles, you could even argue, because Charles, is trying to appease to the humans and things like that. Magneto looks out for his own. But at the same time, my gosh, the man has wreaked so much havoc. He's so powerful. He's an Omega level mutant. And besides probably Jean Grey, he's probably the most powerful mutant that has been out there. Maybe Apocalypse as well, we can argue. But, you can't talk about the X-Men without thinking about them going up against Magneto. So
no, for sure.
He was very close to being higher, but he was number 6 for me.
Great choice, dude. I've always loved reading any type of Magneto story, whether he be a bad guy or he has traveled the line, like you said before, even being, that good anti-hero.
Yeah,
so.
I really hope they bring him into the MCU, and can't wait to see who they have portray him and, what version of him that they bring in. So that'll be interesting. So we're into the top 5, so we're in some rare air as far as some bads right now.
Rarefied air.
Rarefied air on some baddies. Let's go to number 5. Who is that for you?
For me, it's somebody who made a big splash here, a big movie that came out about a year ago. I'm talking about Thanos. Most of you guys know who read a lot of comics, Marvel comics, know not just from the movies, but he's been a badass who possesses that reality altering Infinity Gauntlet, right? And he has basically had storylines where he's destroyed half of the Marvel universe. It's taken the combined might of the Marvel universe to do nothing except get destroyed, basically, from the heroes. Combined might, and every hero stepped up, but they all got decimated. In some storylines, Thanos is just incredible. You guys saw him, like I said, you saw him in Endgame. I mean, he is somebody when you bring in, it's a big game changer. There's not a lot of people out there that could go toe to toe, or anybody that could go toe to toe with him in the Marvel universe. So and that's even without the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you give him that Infinity Gauntlet, then he is a force to be reckoned with for sure. But you're looking for quote unquote, no pun intended, end game for a story. You bring in Thanos.
Yep. He's the guy. I mean, that's part of it too. Is just his power without the gauntlet. I mean, or the stones, for crying out loud, is Omega. I mean, maybe Galactus, within that universe could hang with them, but give him those stones, man. It's over. Game over. So great choice.
Thanks, man. What do you got for your
Uh,
number? I can't wait to hear what you got over there.
yeah, I have Ra's al Ghul,
Oh,
the Demon's Head. I think he's just really cool. We've talked about him a bunch of times, throughout Batman. He, has been around for a very long time. I love that he, calls Batman a detective, and anytime Ra's is involved, it's usually a very good detective story. This is one of those where he's been involved in so many storylines that I have loved, and his impact into what we now know in the Batman world is unparalleled. I mean, he's responsible for Damian Wayne. He's responsible for Jason Todd and Red Hood happening. He's
yeah.
responsible for Talia, and I mean, just the League of Assassins. All of it is Ra's. Another guy who's a hero in his own story and does a great job of portraying that. He's really not he's really not a bad guy, like where he's just, I want to just wreck the world. It's not
Right.
really more about that to him. So he's different in that regards, but he's just such a cool character. And to me, besides, an upcoming member on this list, he's my second favorite Batman villain.
Awesome.
And the stories are great. So Ra's al Ghul.
No, he tells any story he's involved with, is going to be a fantastic tale. And to your point, yeah, he's not trying to he's trying to save the earth. He's just going about it by killing 50% of everyone else.
Exactly.
But he's looking at it as he's doing what's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's a badass.
And like
awesome
Ultron,
choice.
with that Lazarus pit, he can just keep coming back. So
yeah, true story.
Interesting. So let's move on to number 4, who is numero cuatro on the Lee Lawson villain list.
I have the flip side of Thanos on the DC side, Darkseid. I mean, he is just, maybe he's just fresh in my mind because of that most recent animated movie that came out. But dude, he is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he is just pretty much unstoppable. You cannot beat him. You just can't. I mean, he's one of the new gods. He's pretty much god-like or devil-like, or however you want to phrase it. You know what I mean? Apocalypse is just a living version of hell, and he lords over it, and he is trying to just take every other world over, and not like Thanos, who I think is really kind of like Ra's al Ghul, who is trying to reshape the universe and make it better and give people more, by killing half the population.
Yeah.
But Darkseid is not trying to do that. There's no thinking of trying to provide for other people or anything.
Right.
He's trying to take, kill, and destroy, and just have everyone worship him. He goes toe to toe and even above. So with Superman, I mean, he can go toe to toe with Justice League Titans pretty much, and throw all the super teams at him if he want. And I think Darkseid's still probably going to come out on top. You know what I mean? Without some type of luck happening or whatever. But he's just all around badass, man. And he's my number 4 choice. If you're looking for an apocalypse to end all things, Darkseid's your guy.
I would agree. He's my number 4 too.
Wow!
I mean, just look at this guy. I mean, look at him.
Right.
Mean, he's just a total badass. He's taking out the entire Justice League with literally his hands behind his back. Those Omega beams are a unbelievable weapon. It's totally different, like you said, with Thanos. He just wants to be, you're bowing to me. I'm like, he's the new god, basically, and there's no compassion in his nature whatsoever. He's just taking. And to your point, it takes the collective efforts of a whole lot of extra powerful people to be able to take him out. And honestly, on a one-on-one level, Superman's even the only one he would have a chance. I mean, everyone else, it would be, literally over like that. So,
and it's
so crazy.
Some iterations, you see Superman having a chance, and then some iterations, you see that he hangs. But when Darkseid's almost like done with him, he's done with him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's almost like he's just never had anybody to battle that powerful before. So he kind of enjoys it. But then when he's ready to be done, he's almost done and throws Kal-El to the side.
Yeah.
He's just freaking almost scary.
He's a beast. He definitely is. And his name, he's just so cool looking. His name Darkseid. He's the epitome of that. So great choice. So that leads us into the top 3. It's going to be interesting. Who is number 3 for you?
I have Dr. Doom. I have Dr. Doom as my number 3 choice. He's the smartest man in the Marvel Universe. He's not just content with mastering science. He's also one of the most powerful magic users out there. He's pretty much considered a rival to Doctor Strange as the source for the title of the Sorcerer Supreme. Any type of bad guy team or group or faction, if there's some type of world, dominating type of bad guy group getting together, Doctor Doom is the figurehead of that.
Yeah.
He is. He's not going to be joining some group.
Right.
He is going to be leading a group of villains. He's king of Liberia. He's just freaking. He's it, man. He is the main bad guy in the Marvel universe.
This is the part where you're going to accuse me of copying your homework. I have Dr. Doom as well at my number 3. His name's Dr. Doom for crying out loud. He's so cool looking. He's the Omega of Marvel as much as, Thanos, obviously, his power scale might be more, but he's the head, he's the Omega of Marvel. When, it's a villain get together, he's the guy who's leading it. He's taken out the Fantastic Four, honestly, with a lot of ease, pretty much. There's not many people that, maybe Hulk, but not very many people that could go toe to toe with him. His intellect is interesting too, because he's an exceptionally smart character, and he's got the Sorcerer Supreme powers. He's got the physical strength power. He literally has it all. And this is the guy, more so than anybody else, that I want in the MCU as the big bad. I want to see him done right. I want to see him done justice, because that's what he's supposed to be. Dr. Doom is the Doom of Marvel. Like, he's it. So he's my number 3 as well.
I can't wait to see him done with justice in the live action stuff as well. The last 2 Dooms that have played in live action have been laughable. Yeah. Just laughable, considering he's supposed to be the king of the crop, or cream of the crop, of bad guys for that universe. So I can't wait to see what they do with him.
For sure. So now we're down to 2. Who is the runner-up for the best villain in all comic books?
You mentioned this guy a little bit ago, and to me, he's the flip side of what Doom is to the DC universe. He's the flip side of the DC universe to what Doom is in the Marvel universe. So, how about Lex Luthor? I would say I can almost basically just use the exact same dialogue I use for Doom and say pretty much any type of main bad guy group that's going to be put together, or world domination type of thing. Lex is going to be not just in the group; he's going to be leading the group. He's not Superman's main nemesis for nothing. You know what I mean? And this is just a normal dude who is very intelligent. I think usually when they look at the number of smartest guy in the DC universe, honestly, it goes back and forth between Lex and Batman.
Yeah, and it's very close either way.
It is very close, yeah. I've liked all versions, as I said before. Pretty much anything they do, except for the sniveling, scared Luthor that they've kind of shown sometimes in some of the live action stuff. I'm not a big fan of that one, but the confident businessman, the confident scientist, the confident guy in the tech machine, the tech armor. Those are the Lex Luthors that I like. He's Superman's arch nemesis, and that says a lot considering everything that Superman's faced. From Darkseid to Bat to Brainiac to Doomsday to other villains out there. Lex Luthor is usually always at the top of the list. He's my number 2 bad guy, man.
One thing I can say about Lex is anytime Superman shows up, most guys are like, I'm done. Lex is like, bring it, dude. He's a normal guy. For him to say that for someone like Superman, it's crazy. For me, I have this guy right here. Thanos is my number 2. It was really close between him and Dr. Doom. For me, it came down to the Infinity Gauntlet. That's literally the deciding factor. This guy gets the stones, it's over. And just what he's done, just within that storyline, we literally see him win, and wipe half of humanity out of existence. We see him, just wreck all the Avengers' lives. And, he's probably part of the most catastrophic event in comic history when he snaps. You know what I mean? We don't really see a loss to that magnitude. Some will say, if you just saw Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, that might have just been overcome. But as an
Yeah.
outspoken, especially in a live action. I mean, he's just been utilized so well, and also because of his portrayal in a live action movie with Josh Brolin's Thanos in the MCU, he's just been used so perfect within a movie universe where we've all got to see him. It just puts him above Doom. I think if Doom is done right in live action, he could probably take that number 2 spot back because, again, he is that alpha of the Marvel villains. But for now, Thanos is the guy. Give him the Infinity Stones. It's a wrap. It's a wrap,
Love it.
man.
It
So
totally is,
number
man. Hey,
2.
I love it. Great
Yep.
choice. Great choice.
Yeah, so let's get down to it. Unless you're going to throw a fastball at me here, I'm pretty sure number 1 was pretty easy.
Yeah.
So why don't you just break down who number 1 is?
I'm going to go with laughing man himself, laughing clown, Joker. I would imagine that's, yeah, you got to say him. Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about him, dude. I don't know if you have him or not, but he's just freaking the villain.
Yeah,
and he's got
the
no
guy.
he's got no rhyme or reason behind him. He's so unpredictable. He's just there to watch the world burn. You know what I mean? Really, there's nothing that's driving him except for insanity.
Yep.
You know, a lot of these villains that we have on this list are not really insane. I mean, they're villains, you know what I mean? But they've got a method to their madness. There's no method to this dude's madness at all.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's just an all-around nutcase. But yet, that makes him the worst and scariest villain out there.
Yeah.
Villains don't want to work with him.
No.
You know, villains are like, oh, wait, whoa, he's part of the team. I'm out.
Nope.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe he's going to kill me. I just don't even know what he's going to do. You know, just to make him anything to make him laugh. He might consist of him cutting my head off and hanging it from the roof. Who knows what it is? So they don't even want to work with him because he's just so unpredictable, and he's just and he goes outside of the comic book world. Most people know who the Joker is. I think he's one of the more identifiable villains also. So that says a lot. I mean, where he crosses outside of the comic book culture and into other roles of pop culture. It's just my number 1 choice too.
Nope, he's my number 1 too. Between all the stories he's been a part of, for all the time he's been the big bad. To your point, you know, for what we've seen, his portrayals on the big screen, you know, I mean, he's won Oscars. He's the one guy that, even if you're not in the comic books, you know who Joker is. Like, just point blank, period. There's no method to his madness, as you said. I mean, this is the guy that other people on this list that we've ranked, you know, if he comes in the room, they're like, uh-oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just don't know what you're getting with him. There's no, you know, he could be laughing with you and all of a sudden your head's off. You know what I mean? He could blow up a building for no rhyme or reason. His whole point is literally just to try and make Batman break his damn rule. Like, and cross the line. He wants to push you to the point of insanity yourself because of how violent and crazy he is, you know, and, you know, there's so many iterations of him. They're all fantastic. He's the one guy that, I mean, yes, there's some versions of origins that are more prominent than others, but it's the one guy you don't really know what his true origins are. You don't really know what his true intentions are. Hell, we don't even really know what his real name is. I mean, who can say that about a guy who's been around for 70, 80 years, for crying out loud? And, you know, he's scary. He's the Joker, man. He's number 1.
And as one of the reasons we said, you know, we're putting this list of people who have affected their main nemesis lives. And there's been some that we've mentioned before that have done that, you know, in one way or another. But this guy has affected Batman's life in numerous ways, from the insinuation of him, well, definitely paralyzing Batgirl, but the insinuation that he even raped Barbara Gordon, with the killing of Jason Todd, you know, and there's other ways that I can't, it's escaping me right now, but other ways that he's affected Batman's life, you know what I mean, outside of just normal crime and stuff like that. You know,
he's borderline obsessed with him. I mean, Batman's literally almost borderline obsessed with him. He literally can't finish him because he's too obsessed with him. Like, they're literally yin and yang of each other. And I'll go one further. He's affected Superman's life. If you go into the Injustice League, he literally creates Superman to be fooled and kill his own wife and child. You know what I mean? I mean, he's done some horrible things to some other big guys. And he doesn't really even have powers, but he just, through the power of lunacy, but yet intelligence at the same time, he's just done so much damage over the years. And I mean, I seriously doubt he's going to be dethroned anytime soon. He's
No.
the villain of all villains. The only villain in any universe I would even put in the same league as him is maybe Darth Vader, maybe, but as
Yeah.
far as damage done, Joker's it, man. But those
Yeah.
are our 10 top bads in comic books. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment. Let us know what your lists are. Did we miss anybody? Who is your favorite villain? All of those things we would love to know. And while you're at it, please check out our website. That is www.comiccollectorsguild.com. You can check out all of our amazing content on Spotify as well as Google Podcasts. And we are so, thankful that you guys watch us each and every week. And, Lee, also appreciative of you. I have a blast talking to all these guys with you. And it's been a blast once again, my friend.
I love it, Jake. Love every minute of it. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Until next time, stay hunting.
Hi, this is Will Friedle, the voice of Terry McGinnis on Batman Beyond. And I want to welcome everyone to the Comic Collectors Guild. And whether you're a comic lover, collector, or fan, you can visit them at comiccollectorsguild.com. Remember to always keep hunting.